You know what's crazy? I have been a conservative for a while, like a long time. I mean, I was like the type of conservative that I think um everyone hated. Just, I mean, my views were pretty like neutral in all honesty, but I definitely aligned more with the right. And I've just recently started to feel like, man, I have drifted to the middle. Like I don't know. I Something's weird. Like I feel like I'm not a conservative anymore. None of my beliefs have changed really. I just feel like, why don't I align? I think the big thing that probably like has changed is I'm definitely more like anti-war. And I mean, like, I was never like pro-war, like let's go to war, but like now I'm like, what are we doing? Like we blindly go into wars. Um do we have a plan? Like this is how I tackle like this podcast, right? Um I feel like I our government is like me and like doing little projects. I just start doing them and I hope that things work out as I go. Seems like a good idea. And then, I pivot as things happen. I don't know if, like, I don't know. Going to war, though, that's a good idea. I feel like if I was going to run a country, I would probably do a little bit more prep um, before going to war. I know it's probably like an ignorant point of view, but like, I don't know if everybody's thought through everything. I just get the feeling, and this isn't a feeling, this is facts, that our government has become so out of touch with the average US American that they don't even know what our world is like. It was kind of very obvious when that one guy, I don't remember his name, but he's a government official who was in trial for like the Epstein files. He said, and when the files came out, I went to go check for my name like everybody else did. And I was like, I don't know anybody that went to go check the files for their name. Like, I literally know no one that was like, let me go make sure my name's on the Epstein files. I think that's a really good example of how out of touch the the government is with people, and that's concerning because they're like, oh well, we'll just send the people to go to war for us because they're not going to go fight in that war. Um, we are, and we're like, is this a good time? Like I hear that this could collapse the global economy. Um, is this a good time? Because I personally just started making good money a couple of years ago. I thought it was good money, I guess, until inflation happened. And Trump was like saying in the State of the Union that the inflation's at an all-time low. And I just want to know, like, when are we supposed to see that? Like, who's telling him that? Who's telling him inflation's at an all-time low? And Caroline Levitt came on and said rent is going down, and I rent. And I literally responded to the Instagram post and I said, "Is who's gonna tell like the renters or the owners, the landlords that rent's going down? Like who's translating that message? Because I, have any of you guys had rent go down? I don't know. Like I haven't had it go down. It's still pretty high. My electric is way up. My water bill is just through the roof. It's just my husband and I and my dog. I don't know. It's suddenly the money I'm making six figures, and I thought when I was like 10 years ago, I thought when I made six figures I was going to be rich. And I'm not. Like I'm still budgeting and things are still tight. Like I'm blessed, but also at the same time, I expected when I started making this kind of money to not have to think about buying something from the store. I don't know. Like it just like yeah, I don't know. And then I wake up this morning, get up in the morning, I'm getting ready for the day. I'm supposed to have a photo shoot for a friend of mine who's starting a business and it's going to be fun. And then I see that we're like in war or launching, an attack on Iran. And I don't know if I've ever cared less about Iran. Like, why are we doing this? Why? Why? I mean, And people will say, like, first of all, there's like oil in the Middle East that we need. Did you guys know? I don't know if you know this. Did you know that in the US, in North Carolina, the coast of North Carolina alone, I think we have like 50 years of oil reserve in the coast of North Carolina. I know we have access to oil all over our country. We have a very abundant country, and I know I'm just I don't know anything about politics. Why could we not? I don't know. Avoid using the Middle East for everything. Seems like we're very involved in this area. And actually, if we hadn't have launched that strike, would that really affect our oil? I feel like it's going to affect our oil to have struck them, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'm open to criticism here. So I started thinking about this, and I don't think that I have really changed much in my views. I think that the parties are shifting further and further to the right and left. And I think there's like this other party forming, I hope, of us in the middle who are just like, what the heck is going on? Like, if I sat down and I talked to people who I disagreed with politically, in the past, we often found like ourselves landing on the same reasoning. Maybe we were just finding different paths to get there, but we had the same goal. Like our goals were aligned for the country. We wanted better for the country. I'm actually pretty independent with my thinking. Like I don't personally approve of abortion, but I also don't think it should be illegal because I think that our reasoning for it being illegal is based off of like a biblical ideology, and I believe in separation of church and state, which again, I believe in separation of church and state, and a lot of the laws that we have are really based off of that. So that's probably where I definitely differ from like the conservative party always have. I don't think we should ban gay marriage because again, that's based off of a biblical perspective and separation of church and state. So, like I think the things that I felt like I was more conservative on this is really, I guess, shifting. Maybe I am shifting a little bit. I was for, like, I thought I understood why taxing the rich was a bad thing. Now I'm not so sure about that one. Like, I think because I was afraid if I made more money, I would get majorly taxed. That was my thought. Like, I don't want to work really hard and get majorly taxed. Guess what? That happened anyway. And that was actually under the Biden administration that I started to get more taxes. So it's not a liberal thing. It's not a conservative thing. It's a elite thing. And when Pam Bondi says, if we were to persecute all of those in the files, the economy would collapse. And I think that would not affect us. I don't think it would affect the average American as much as it would affect the people that were on the files and like the people in their orbits, I think it would affect that class of people, but I don't think it would affect like the W-2. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. That's like what, 90% of us, 95% of us. It wouldn't actually affect our everyday lives. People are like, well, it would, big companies would go bankrupt. Well, then little companies could start and we could actually encourage small businesses. I don't know. It seems like that's what I would want. All this is just like, it's been very eye-opening year. We're like barely into March and so much has happened. We've kidnapped the president of Venezuela. Mexico's on fire, literally. We've launched an attack against Iran. And Candace is putting out a expose on Erica Kirk, which I'm a big fan of, her doing that. And it's only March, the beginning of March. So I don't know. I feel like I just don't. I wanted to start making podcasts because I have a lot of thoughts lately and I just don't know where to share them. So today was really, I think, a prompt for me. Like, waking up and finding out, cool, we just started a war with Iran. And I just saw Tucker Carlson a couple days ago talk about how if we started a war with Iran, we would likely collapse the global economy. He said that, and here we are. And what is this benefiting? I know who this is. We all know who this is benefiting. Let's use a corporate America analogy here, because I think that I wanted to say things and I can't really say them outright. So let's just talk about corporate setting and just try to follow along with what I'm saying. If there's a large company who, they're a multi-billion-dollar company, they have a lot of money, and their job is heavily influenced by their partnerships. And so they partner with smaller companies. Those smaller companies come to them with exclusivity saying, hey, you can sell our product and you can make a profit from it. We make a profit, and we can utilize your large reach to get our product out to more people. And that's how like business deals are done. And the large company is priority normally because they have all the resources, they have the population of consumers, they have the capital, they have the investors, they have the structure, they've been doing this a while. So, the smaller companies are kind of using all of that to help them launch their business. And it's supposed to be like a mutually beneficial partnership. If a large company had a partnership with a small company, and that small company started to have shady things going on, and they started to have like word going around that they were trying to backstab the large conglomerate, and then the consumers of that large company who trusted that large company started to like shift their trust in the large company because of this small little company. Normally what would happen in the business world is that large company would cut off that small company, saying we're no longer going to partner with you because you're a risk to our consumer trust, which is everything in business. If that large company did not cut ties with that small company, if like it started to affect their consumer base, there would be talk. It would be like, what do you think that is going on with that company? Like, what's that under the table deal that's going on? Because like, it doesn't make sense to any of us why they would stay partnered, but like they're still partnered. You would normally say like, oh, there's definitely something shady going on. And maybe you would think like, if let's say that it was a woman who was running that small business and there was a man who was overseeing that partnership, you'd think like maybe they were sleeping together or something. Or like, you find out that small company was related, the owner of it was related to the conglomerate owner. So like it was the son of the conglomerate owner. You'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, he's doing that only because it's son, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense why he won't cut him off. That's what's going on. Like we're all like, why are they still partnered together? What's like really going on? Not just like, what the jargon, the PR stuff that they're putting out, like what's really going on? That's how I feel. And this happened actually. One time I was working with a company and we had a partner that started to make some questionable moves, and all of us in the company were like, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? It didn't make any sense to us. And then that small company used the money they made from the larger company to go buy the competitor of the large company. It was crazy. This is a true story. And this is what I see going on like in the world with political things. And I don't get it. Like I don't understand it. And then I see all these other little stories like UFOs and the Charlie Kirk, Erica Kirk, Candace Owens thing. Like that's like, these are great distractions. I don't know what I'm supposed to be focusing on. I hear Mexico's on fire and all the Costco's are on fire. I hear we kidnapped the Venezuelan president, but then like we can't even deal with the PDFs on the Einstein files. I like Baron Coleman. If you don't watch him, that's what he calls, that guy. He calls him Einstein. Yeah. We have so many things going on. And what even is that with those files? Like the largest gaslighting, and again, just like to further why I just don't trust the party that I thought I did. Um, when I was gaslit by Trump because he's saying, oh, the files don't exist, when literally everything about his campaign had that intertwined into it. And Kash Patel saying he's going to bring it down, and Trump is only mentioned 100 times. And then like, okay, yeah, they exist, but they're not that big of a deal. Trump's only mentioned 100 times. It's no big deal. Then the files come out and he's like mentioned 8,500 times. And nothing happens to Kash Patel, who lies to the American people. Like, Trump doesn't even apologize. He doesn't even explain why. And this is where I like, back to my analogy of like the businesses, and we're all like, what is going on? Why? Because before he was so against them. What is going on to make this be this way? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And we're just supposed to go with it. Like, what even is the plan? Like, if nothing I genuinely said this, if nothing happens to the people on those files, we're done. We're cooked, as the kids say these days. We're like done. Because that's an even bigger issue. Like, I would rather the entire economy collapse and be rebuilt on truth and justice than for it to continue to remain propped up on degenerates and people who have committed heinous crimes. I say that with my chest. Everybody I know says that. We look like idiots to every other country. We look like disgusting idiots. We look like the most corrupt country because we won't do anything about the things that actually seem to matter. And I can't for the life of me figure out why. What's the purpose? I don't get it. So yeah, I just thought I would come on here and give my 2 cents. I'll probably start just sharing things like this a little bit more. I do like to do research. I do like to do deep dives on things. So I might start talking about some of the things I've done some deep dive research into. I love to like just obsess over looking at random storylines or doing deep dive investigations. I think I like Candace Owens so much because I've learned how to do an investigation from watching her do this. I really liked how she was just throwing out ideas in the beginning and then seeing what stuck. That was really like interesting to me because I always feel like people come and they do these investigations and then they talk about them after they've figured it out. So this is how the investigation went, and this is what we found, and it's all in like one neat little package. But I think this is a masterclass for how to do it. I thought it was interesting to kind of start putting out little pieces of facts and then letting people basically hang themselves on that. So she would say something about TPUSA. They would have the chance to tell the truth. They would lie, and then she would then bring forward the evidence of what the truth actually was and catch them in their lie. That was a very interesting strategy for me. I have, like I mentioned, Baron Coleman. I like him because I like the perspective. He's a lawyer, and he has a history of putting together, defense cases. And so watching somebody from that angle think and shape opinions and, whatever, was really interesting to me. Yeah, there's just like a lot I've been learning about recently, and I've done some digging into the Einstein files on my own. I did find some pretty interesting things. I have to be very careful, and I saw this post and it was like, don't deep dive just straight into them, because and I'll try to find the name of the person, I'll tag her below, but basically, like in court, you don't just unleash all the evidence you have on the jury, especially when it's a really heinous crime that someone has committed. You want to slowly spread it out for a couple reasons, but a big one is you don't want to pass that trauma on to the jury and those involved, because you're just overloading them with, evidence. And I think it's a shame that the files were released in the manner they were, with zero explanation. There's going to be zero, it seems like there's going to be zero accountability. And it's damaging. So I definitely have tried to pick a topic. I also like Ian Carroll, and he and his team have put together like a really interesting website. And I don't think they've released it yet. Maybe they have. I haven't looked in a while, like in a week or two. But where you can go through and actually like do searches through it, and so you can stay on topics. So I think that's a great way to kind of protect the public. But yeah, probably will do some talking on those, and just maybe sharing what I'm learning, but just also catching up on current events and venting to you guys. If you have any thoughts or things you want to hear more about, let me know. But what are you thinking? Like, what does everybody else feel about the recent news of the war being launched? I could probably go on and on about my fears or concerns of that, but I guess some of them we'll just have to wait and see what happens.